Let me ask you something very simple, but very uncomfortable. Have you ever looked at your bank account and thought, I make good money, so why does it still feel tight? You work hard. You show up every day. You deal with stress, deadlines, pressure. And at the end of the week, you tell yourself one sentence that feels completely reasonable. I deserve this. A nicer dinner. A small upgrade. Something to reward yourself for surviving another exhausting week. And here's the problem. Most people don't lose money because they're careless. They lose money because their spending feels earned. This is how financial damage actually happens in modern America. Not through big mistakes, but through small rewards that happen often. No guilt. No panic. No warning signs. Just quiet erosion. Over time, those I deserve it moments become part of your lifestyle. They don't feel like choices anymore. They feel normal. And before you realize it, your raise is gone. Your savings don't grow. And you're left wondering how someone who works this hard still feels financially stuck. In this video, we're going to break down the psychology behind that sentence. I deserve this. Why it feels so powerful. And how it silently keeps millions of Americans from building real wealth. So why does that sentence, I deserve this, feel so convincing? Because your brain does not treat all money the same. In behavioral economics, this is called mental accounting, a concept developed by Nobel Prize-winning economist Richard Thaler. Mental accounting explains how people mentally divide money into different categories, even though every dollar has the same value. Salary money feels serious. Bonus money feels extra. Overtime money feels like a reward. Hard-earned money feels personal. And once money enters the reward category, the rules change. You stop asking, is this the best use of this money? And start asking, did I earn this? Research shows that people are far more likely to spend money labeled as a reward, even when doing so harms their long-term financial goals. This is why raises are so dangerous. A raise doesn't just increase income. It changes how you label money. That extra amount doesn't feel like future security. It feels like permission. Permission to upgrade. Permission to spend. Permission to relax the rules. And because the spending feels justified, there is no internal resistance. No guilt. No hesitation. Just quiet approval. This is how lifestyle inflation begins. Not with bad intentions, but with perfectly reasonable mental shortcuts. Now let's move from theory to real life. Because this isn't abstract psychology. This is happening every day across America. Picture someone in their early 30s. College degree. Stable job. Recently promoted. On paper, they're winning. But the promotion comes with longer hours, more responsibility, and constant mental pressure. So the spending starts to shift. Not dramatically. Quietly. More food delivery because there's no energy to cook. A nicer car because I worked hard for this. Weekend trips because I need a break. Each purchase feels logical in isolation. Each one feels deserved. But together, they form a new baseline. This is where mental accounting and emotional spending collide. The raise becomes invisible. Not because it's small, but because it's already been emotionally spent. Psychologists call this emotional justification. You're not buying things for their utility anymore. You're buying relief. And relief is expensive. Months later, the stress returns. The savings still aren't growing. And the question comes back. How am I making more money and still feeling stuck? This is the trap. Not laziness. Not irresponsibility. Just human behavior doing exactly what it's wired to do. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. And if you want more breakdowns like this, make sure you follow and subscribe to Next Capital. This channel exists to help you understand money at the behavioral level. Not just the math. There's another force quietly amplifying, I deserve it, spending. Social comparison. Humans don't evaluate their lives in isolation. We measure ourselves against people around us. Neighbors. Coworkers. Friends on social media. In behavioral science, this is known as social proof. When we see others upgrading their lifestyle, Our brain treats it as a signal of what's normal. And once something feels normal, resisting it feels uncomfortable. You don't wake up wanting more. You wake up wanting to keep up. A bigger apartment doesn't feel like excess. It feels standard. A newer car doesn't feel luxurious. It feels expected. This is especially powerful in professional environments. When your coworkers upgrade their lives after promotions, the spending feels synchronized. Everyone is rewarding themselves at the same time. And suddenly, restraint feels like falling behind. What makes this dangerous is that no one talks about their savings. You only see outcomes, never the trade-offs. So your brain fills in the gaps. If they can afford it, I should be able to as well. But comparison hides reality. Debt, stress, missed opportunities to build wealth. Social pressure doesn't force you to spend. It nudges you. And nudges, repeated often, shape behavior more than logic ever could. At this point, you might be asking a very honest question. If saving money is clearly better for our future, why does it feel so unnatural? The answer is not a lack of discipline. It's biology. Humans are hardwired for immediate rewards. Behavioral economists call this present bias. Present bias means we instinctively value rewards today more than rewards tomorrow, even when tomorrow's reward is much larger. This isn't a theory. It's been proven repeatedly. In a famous experiment by psychologist Walter Mischel, known as the marshmallow test, children who delayed gratification performed better financially decades later. But most people failed the test. Why? Because the human brain is designed to survive the present, not optimize the future. Neuroscience research from Stanford University shows that spending money activates the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine, the same chemical associated with pleasure, food, and addiction. Saving money does not trigger that response. That's why buying something feels relieving, while saving feels boring or even painful. A study published in the Journal of Consumer Research found that people under stress are significantly more likely to spend impulsively, even when they know it hurts their long-term finances. This explains modern American behavior perfectly. After a stressful workday, people don't save. They order food. They shop online. They subscribe to something new. Not because they're irresponsible, but because spending provides emotional relief right now. So when you say, "I deserve this," your brain isn't thinking about retirement. It's regulating stress. Understanding this changes everything. You weren't weak. You were neurologically predictable. Don't forget to subscribe to Next Capital and turn on notifications to stay updated with the latest insights on investing and personal finance. The right knowledge today can change your financial future tomorrow. Once you understand how your brain works, the next question becomes uncomfortable. If humans are wired this way, why does modern life feel like it is constantly pushing us to spend? Because it is. Today's economic system is not neutral. It is intentionally designed around present bias. Take the subscription economy in the United States. According to a study by McKinsey, the average American now pays for over 10 monthly subscriptions, many of which they barely use. Let's look at a real example. Meet Jason, a 34-year-old software analyst living in Austin, Texas. Jason earns around $90,000 a year. On paper, he is doing well. After a raise, he upgraded his phone, then added streaming services, a meal delivery app for busy weekdays, a gym membership he uses twice a month, cloud storage, productivity apps. None of these feel expensive alone, but together, they quietly absorb most of his raise. Jason is not reckless. He is efficient. And that is exactly the problem. Modern spending is frictionless. Behavioral research from Harvard Business School shows that when payments feel invisible, people spend significantly more without realizing it. Auto-pay removes pain. One click removes hesitation. Monthly billing hides the true cost. Jason feels in control, but his raise never reaches savings. This is not a personal failure. It is a system optimized to monetize human psychology. If this insight already feels familiar, you are exactly the audience this channel is built for. Subscribe to Next Capital if you want to understand money at the system level, not just surface tips. At this point, many people push back. They say, "This doesn't apply to me. I understand money." Here's the uncomfortable truth. Lifestyle inflation doesn't target ignorance. It targets confidence. Some of the worst cases happen to people who are educated, analytical, and high income. Because knowledge creates a dangerous illusion. The belief that awareness equals immunity. Let's take a real example. Emily is a 41-year-old marketing director in Chicago. She earns around $140,000 a year. She understands investing. She reads finance books. She even maxes her retirement accounts. And yet, her cash flow is tight. Why? Because every improvement in income was matched by a lifestyle upgrade that felt reasonable. A better apartment closer to work. Premium groceries for health. Ride-sharing instead of public transit. Boutique fitness instead of a regular gym. Each choice made sense. Each one was justified. Behavioral economists call this moral licensing. When people believe they are doing well in one area, they subconsciously give themselves permission to relax discipline elsewhere. Emily invests responsibly, so she feels entitled to spend comfortably. The problem is not intelligence. It's self-negotiation. A study from the National Bureau of Economic Research shows that higher-income households often increase discretionary spending faster than savings when income rises. Not because they don't know better, but because they trust themselves too much. Lifestyle inflation hides behind logic. And that's why it's so dangerous. By now, something should feel different. You've seen that lifestyle inflation is not about being careless. It's not about intelligence. And it's not solved by earning more. So the real question becomes simple. If the system is designed this way, and our brains are wired this way, what actually works? The answer is not extreme budgeting. It's changing the timing of decisions. Behavioral scientists have found that most financial mistakes happen at the moment of income increase, not during normal months. That moment is when lifestyle inflation is born. Consider a real example. Mark is a 38-year-old project manager in Denver. When he received a 10% raise, he didn't change his lifestyle immediately. Instead, he delayed all upgrades for 90 days. No new car. No apartment upgrade. No subscriptions. During those 90 days, the extra money went automatically into a separate savings account. After 3 months, Mark realized something surprising. His life felt exactly the same. But his savings had grown faster than ever. This approach is called decision delay, and it's backed by research from behavioral economist Richard Thaler. When decisions are delayed, emotional urgency fades, and rational thinking returns. Lifestyle inflation feeds on immediacy. Delay starves it. You don't fight your brain. You outsmart it. If this idea resonates, subscribe to Next Capital. We don't teach discipline through guilt. We design systems that work with human behavior. At this stage, the goal is no longer to stop spending. That's unrealistic. The real goal is to build a lifestyle that doesn't automatically expand every time your income increases. Behavioral research shows that people who successfully avoid lifestyle inflation do one key thing differently. They separate identity spending from status spending. Identity spending supports who you want to become. Status spending exists to signal success to others. The problem is that lifestyle inflation feeds almost entirely on status spending. Here is a real example. Sarah is a 36-year-old nurse practitioner living in Seattle. Her income has grown steadily over the past decade. But her lifestyle has remained surprisingly stable. Why? Because she defined her non-negotiables early. She values travel, health, and time flexibility. She does not care about luxury cars, brand names, or keeping up appearances. When her income increased, she didn't upgrade everything. She upgraded only what aligned with her values. Behavioral economist Dan Ariely explains that when spending decisions are tied to identity rather than comparison, satisfaction increases while consumption stays controlled. Sarah still enjoys her life. She just doesn't let income decide her identity. This is the quiet difference between people who build wealth and people who look wealthy. Lifestyle inflation isn't defeated by restriction. It's defeated by clarity. And clarity creates freedom. And this is where everything connects. Lifestyle inflation is not a money problem. It's not an income problem. And it's not a discipline problem. It's a behavioral problem, shaped by biology, reinforced by systems, and normalized by understanding the wrong signals of success. We saw how the brain is wired to chase immediate relief. We saw how modern systems remove friction and quietly absorb every raise. We saw how even smart, educated, high-income people negotiate against their future selves. And finally, we saw that the solution is not restriction, but intention. The people who build real wealth don't live smaller lives. They live clearer ones. They don't let income define identity. They decide what matters first, and let money follow that structure. That's the real shift. When income increases, most people ask, what can I upgrade? Wealth builders ask, what do I protect? They protect margin. They protect flexibility. They protect future choices. Because freedom doesn't come from spending more. It comes from needing less approval, less comparison, and less emotional relief through consumption. If there's one takeaway from this video, it's this. Your raise didn't disappear. It was quietly assigned. Assigned to habits you never questioned. Assigned to systems you didn't design. Assigned to a version of success that was never yours to begin with. And the moment you see that, you can start choosing differently. If this video means something to you, like it, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Next Capital. We're here to help you build wealth that actually gives you control over your life.